Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the Constant Host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
Guys, you're here this week to start reviewing The Hero of Ages, Mistborn
Yeah,
Book 3.
last one. And as
Well,
you
last one of
know,
Era 1.
last one of Era One. Yeah, I keep focusing on the first part. Last one. And as you know, I'm so far through the book. Whole 12 chapters. So we'll be talking about a lot of the setup and where the everyone is kind of in the beginning of the book and what their goals are. And there's some cool stuff and there's some really weird stuff and some really dumb stuff. So we'll get into that.
Yep. I finished the book. I will do my best not to spoil anything. Like, it's death.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it's not like a hard read or even like I'm not like miserable like listening
Mhm.
to the audiobook, but like I was constantly like calling out things like, oh, well, this person's obviously this. And then it gets like spoon fed to me later. I'm like, yeah, I already fucking knew. Like it took three brain cells maybe to
Yeah.
figure that out. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's such a huge reveal. I'm like, it wasn't a huge reveal. How did you not see that?
Yeah.
But we can get into that later. As always, though, hit us up on Discord. It's a great place to be. We have a weekly movie night. We have a monthly book club. Book club for January and February. We'll be doing the first book of the Malazan series. Garden of the Moon, I think is what it's called. So join that. That's a good time. We're gonna book for the month and then chat with some other dudes about it. It's not recorded, so don't feel like it's part of the podcast. It's just or literally just a random book club. Check it out. You find our Discord pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresiolodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. We have merch. Check it out. Buy yourself something nice for the new year. Valentine's Day is coming up in a month. I know that's what your significant other wants. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Gavin, what are you drinking?
That's a great question. Um, I pulled this growler out of my fridge, and I think that somebody wiped the whatever it is off of it. I don't know what I'm drinking.
Do you know where
It's
it's
a
from?
If I had to guess, I don't know.
Is it good?
No, it's not good. I'm trying to think of where I went over the weekend. I think this is from Upland. Yes. And
Yes.
it's a very light beer that they have. So that's it. That's all I know.
All right. Maybe Upland, maybe light beer.
I'm pretty sure it's Upland. How about
Well,
you?
you see, last month, maybe it was 2 months ago, we were in the good old Sam's Club, and there was a variety pack of the Sam Adams holiday stuff. I forgot I had that, so I've had a 24 pack in my storage room in the garage. So I'm currently drinking the Sam Adams Holiday White Ale, and after that one, I had the Sam Adams Old Fezziwig,
The Fezziwig.
the Fezziwig. Limited release. I don't know. We'll see if it's good. It's Sam Adams. Sam Adams always like solid.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm trying to figure out what beer I'm drinking right now. I want to say it's there's so many that I'm almost 100% positive now. It's Upland, and I'm pretty sure it's Light Side of the Hops.
Light side of the hops.
That's the one.
Did you enjoy it when you were there and you got the growler?
No, I'm pretty sure the
Or did
way
you
that this
blind
worked out,
growler it?
I just blindly, you know what? Fuck it. Give me that one. I think what happened was my father-in-law was like, hey, let's grab this one because it's really good. And I was like, it's not great, but if you want it, that's fine. And then he didn't drink any of the beer. So now I got stuck with this one. Yeah, I'm
Damn
pretty
it.
sure. Yeah, it's always tough.
This is why I got second in our fantasy league. Like a shit
I got
tasting
second.
beer. No,
Oh,
he
he
got
got
second.
second. hmm I just know too with the fantasy league, every single time I see my brother-in-law now, it's gonna be like, "Hey, where's my money? Hey, where's my money?"
So
I'm
I
like,
don't
yeah,
know. Tell everyone else to pay me.
I'll think about it. Yeah, I haven't collected yet.
It's your
All
buy-in
right.
for next year. You're welcome.
Yeah, trust me, you're gonna lose for the next 10 years. I'm just gonna call it even. Double or nothing. All
All right,
right.
Gavin, you're 12 chapters in, and we open up with the most amazing thing in the world. We get to wake up to Sir Elend the Great, the most handsome, the wisest of men, is now a Mistborn.
He is a Mistborn, and not only is he a Mistborn, he's like the most powerful of Mistborns to ever exist.
Yes, he has been just fucked by the Mistborn gods, and Mist is him.
I love reading a book that just makes a sweeping change to a character and doesn't grow them in any way for that sweeping change. It's like, yeah, now they're super powerful. They didn't do any training. They're just really powerful. And he goes and beats up a bunch of Kolos in the opening chapter. And really you get this story with Vin and Elin, and there's a few things happening in it. Number one, from a just perspective of what they're trying to accomplish, Elin is essentially trying to keep everybody alive in the Central Empire, in the Central Dominance. He's actually trying to keep everyone alive. But the problem is all this mist is coming in and it's destroying all these crops. So he's trying to bring people into the Central Dominance and keep them alive. Throughout that process, it also involves conquering all of these people. And additionally, they're also looking for these stored caches because the Lord Ruler hid all of these caches of supplies under cities and then in the cache put a map to the other caches, which seems like a weird thing to do
Yeah.
because they discover one cache unless it's the last cache. You can just go and find the other caches or at least a portion of them.
Yeah, the whole thing I hate about this like part is like they go through this thing like, oh, maybe like the Lord Ruler wasn't that bad. He was fucking like the Ska are so fucked up. And like he like created the Ska to be like weaker and everything than a nobleman. Like there's this whole thing about like how he like created the people and like moved the planet and shit like that.
hmm
And he still, I never once was like, man, he was just misunderstood.
Yeah, this book tries to really push the Lord Ruler as more of a gray area villain.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
when
killed, he made most of his fucking race into eunuch slaves. Hmm. That's,
maybe it wasn't a bad guy.
yeah, that's like they were really good servants though. So like, was it that bad? That's a little
Yeah.
fucked up.
I think that like the whole concept. So let's do a little segue into this. Well, it's kind of a segue. We're really going to branch off. The story that you get in the pre-chapters now, which is every book has had like some sort of illustration that they're um, working towards throughout the entire book, and you always get like little hints of what's to come. It seems to me more like a story in the future, is what my guess is. Maybe I'm wrong. But essentially, it's like recollecting what the Lord Ruler did when he had the power.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is really frustrating to me because basically what it details is that the Well of Eternity or Well of Ascension keep calling it the Well of Eternity. I'm like, that's World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure. The Well of Ascension is like an asshole genie, is basically what I'm getting from this. Like, it grants you all of your wishes, but you have to be like scientifically specific about like how the wish is granted, which is incredibly frustrating because like it basically in the beginning talks about how the Lord Ruler wanted to get rid of the mists. So in order to do that, he had to bring the planet closer to the sun. I'm like, what the fuck? Like it's not just like it's not just like this magical like well that's like, yeah, I'll do what you need me to do. It's like we'll give you the power to manipulate space and time, but like or not even time. You just you can manipulate material, but like kind of. You
Yeah,
can't just like remove mist as a concept. Mist exists within the laws of our universe. So you have to like change something about whatever it is for mist not to exist.
yeah. The overall theme of this book is like the fuck. I don't want to say for every action there's a reaction, but essentially it's there's like two opposing like forces that do opposite things that are counterbalancing each other.
Yeah.
And it's just like it gets so fucking annoying because like ruin is this god thing, right?
Yeah. The
I
named ruin.
fucking hate like why are we bringing in gods at this point?
Yeah.
Like the world was so interesting until you brought in like godhood and shit like that. I'm like I hate this shit.
Yeah. It's the ruin thing is weird. I don't like that you have the concept of a god, but yet the well of eternity or well of ascension can't just like magically solve a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it talks all about like how he was like, oh, I'm gonna bring the earth closer to the sun, and that removes the mist, but it also kills the crops because it's too close. So to solve that, I'm gonna have volcanoes go everywhere because the ash will black out the sun. I'm like, great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad like that's the level of detail that you need to get to in order. Like it's not just like Genie doing her boom, there you go, mist's gone. But yet, also, the well is magical enough to preserve a god in an imprisonment state. And I'm like, why are we like jumping through hoops for one thing, but like everything else is okay? Don't think about that.
Yeah.
It creates a lot of frustration because in my mind, I'm like, okay, so we're in like a fantasy world, but we have to abide by the rules of physics sometimes. I'm like, why does this like make it almost impossible? Like for some reason the Lord Ruler was, well, we'll get into this, but he was like, you could do crazy things like creating entire species. Let's not even talk about the science that goes behind creating a species of people, but couldn't figure out the physics behind removing mists without destroying the planet from the sun. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's just a lot of things that disconnect from that, in my opinion. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, like the whole like opening, like this like tries to get explained later on, but like I feel like it's just like a whole this whole thing I don't think needed to exist. Like
Like the book.
I'd be more interested if it was like, okay, the Well of Ascension shit happened. Sure, they released some great evil, whatever. And then like that great evil being like the original hero of ages that like we were believed that Rashik had
Yeah.
killed, and he was actually like super fucked up after like going into the well, and like he's like bringing people together to like the murder the fucking Final Empire. Like that would have been cooler than fucking
Would have been
Godhood.
interesting. The other thing that like was confusing to me, and maybe I'm off on this, so explain it to me if I'm wrong, but it talked about how I don't know if this is just a typo or maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but it talked about how the Allomancers originated at the same time the mists originated.
Yes.
But the mists were there prior to the ascension of the Lord Ruler. That's what he was
Yes.
trying to remove was the mists.
Yes.
So the part that's really confusing to me is Allomancy existed prior to the Well of Ascension and the Lord Ruler's creation.
I don't think Allomancy did yet.
It did talk
Feruchemy
about,
did. Um,
yes.
I mean, Mistings might have existed and just not Mistborns yet. If I'm just trying to recall because it's been a
Yeah,
while.
I mean, it
But
talked about how Allomancy existed, but the Mistborns, maybe the Mistborns were later.
yeah, because I won't spoil what Mistborns are yet. That'll You'll get that super cool reveal later.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. Maybe it's one of the early chapters. Like, here we go. Allomancy was indeed born with the mists, or at least Allomancy began at the same time as the mist's first appearances. When Rashek took the power of the Well of Ascension, he became aware of certain things. Some were whispered to him by Ruin, others were granted to him as an instinctive part of the power. So, so it says one of these was the understanding of the three metallic arts. He knew, for instance, that the nuggets of metal in the Chamber of Ascension would make those who ingested them into Mistborn. These were, after all, fractions of the very power of the well. So allomancy existed, at least mistings existed prior to Rashek and the Lord or the fake Lord Ruler, whatever his name was, the guy that wasn't
Yeah.
really the Lord Ruler, trying to end the mist,
Yes.
which is very weird. You would think, I think that's contradictory to what was said in the first book because it seemed like in the first book it was saying Allomancy was created from the Well of Ascension interaction.
Yeah, I think you're right. Apparently,
And
there's like a big retcon later about ATM too, so things change.
fun. And I think the confusing part to me is like you would think if Allomancy existed, then it would be much more apparent in the story of the Lord Ruler making his way up the mountain. And I guess you could argue that Ruin changed that story,
Yeah.
but what a weird stretch. And also like the story explicitly talks about how like Rashek like looked down on humans because they didn't have the power of ferromancy. But if they had the power of allomancy, why would that be such a weird thing? I digress a little bit. But like there's like certain things I'm like, well, this is so frustrating as a concept that are being created. But
Yeah, no,
we're jumping ahead.
it's kind of a shit show. And like as more stuff gets revealed, you're just kind of like,
Along for the ride.
yep, like, all right, I guess.
So back to the Elin Ven thing. So Elin, they're trying to find these caches that the Lord Ruler has. But then you get the third like piece to this pillar of the story of Elend and Ven in the beginning is Elend is definitely after becoming Mistborn, transforming into a different character,
Yeah.
a different person. And it seems like so he's doing things like making people walk into the mist because apparently this is so funny to me. I think it's like ridiculous. The way the mists work is like once you walk into them, like you could have a seizure, but if you don't, and if you survive the seizure, then you're like immune to the mists.
Yes.
So he's like basically like vaxing everybody with the mists. And you've got like a 90% survival rating. And it's in that like Vin is like this is kind of weird and like he's keeping his soldiers from being misvaxxed.
Yeah.
So he wants to have his army. He's really big on like conquering the rest of the world. He seems to be a lot more like demanding of things towards people. And you could read it one way as like, okay, he's becoming like a better ruler. But I also see him like slowly transitioning into the concept of the Lord Ruler as as the beginning of the book is progressing.
Yeah, and that's like a whole fucking shit, internal thing for him. Like this is his big character development, right? It's the battle between Ellen the ruler and Ellen the scholar, and like who is Ellen? And it's just like it's a constant battle, and I just don't fucking care about.
Yeah, at this point, because, and I agree, like it's such a large stretch. And of course, the Lord Ruler ruled for 1,000 years, so we believe,
Sure, yeah.
and been 1,000 years. And that's a long time.
Yep.
But like it's a long stretch for Ellen to think, oh, okay, I'm gonna go from like wanting democracy to enslaving 95% of the population, in order, but not taking into account like, oh, the mists are literally murdering everybody. And there's an entire deity on the loose that is trying to, oh, and there's these fucking weirdos putting spikes in their head that keep trying to kill everybody.
Yep.
So that's a whole piece. So that's an interesting one. I think it's a stretch. It's just as much of a stretch as like Vin's inner struggle in the second book to like go goth. I just,
Hmm.
it's tough. It's tough to read about. And that's not the only character who has a really fucking tough thing to read about. Let's talk about
Oop.
Sazed.
Oh. Yeah, Sazed is so fucking annoying in this book. Like, bro, you dated a chick for a month and now you're all emo atheist because she fucking died in war.
A month, yeah. No, I agree. And like
Like,
literally,
it's
this is a
not
person.
like she was like struck down by God. All right. She went against like 10,000 fucking Koloss. Holy shit, what a shocker that she fucking died.
Yeah, and I do think like obviously he fell in love with her, but like Says it clearly didn't date enough because he formed a very, very quick, strong bond with this person. And you look back at Say's past, whose entire culture had been genocided, whose or and like they were currently being genocided, like literally at that moment being genocided. And he had formed a bond with a lot of friends that died within the past year, not just Kelsier, but also, you know, um, the two that died in the war, which
Yeah.
is,
You know, it's really weird that the Inquisitors went after all the Terrasmen
I
because
wanted to talk
now
about
that I
this.
finished the book, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I'm interested. I'm interested
I
in
think
this
that's just a
because
lost storyline because it
I have
doesn't,
a theory.
other than maybe making them go to the pits, that's the only thing, maybe, but that's a stretch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's also something I'm really, really confused about so far is like the part that's confusing to me is the Lord Ruler. Let's tackle that
Uh,
next after Sazed.
I guess some of it might make sense,
Okay,
actually, because the keepers were all Pharaohmancers.
right.
So actually, it does kind of make sense.
Okay.
Have you gotten
So
to hemalurgy yet?
I know the concept of hemalurgy. I know that it's what's used to create inquisitors.
Yeah, so like the whole thing is like if you like stab a piece of metal through like an allomancer or a ferromancer, like that metal can like absorb their power the longer it's in there. And then you can shove that fucking stick in somebody else and they can use that power.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, so Sazed like quickly formed this bond with this girl in the second book, and now like he is honestly, I remember I was like going for a walk and listening to this book, and multiple times throughout the walk, I was like, oh, like anytime there's a chapter with Sazed, he says the most like literally what you would imagine a teenage girl would say.
Yes,
That's what Sazed
it's
says.
tough.
He's like, I don't even. I don't even know like what to believe anymore. I don't think I believe in anything, and sometimes I have a hard time thinking about me not believing in things. Oh my God.
Yeah, like it's just so out of character. Like I understand like he's trying to go for someone who lost their love. Sure. Maybe they should have been in love for a long time. Honestly, in the last book, I thought it was going to be revealed that Tindril was his fucking mom. And that's why she had such high expectations for him.
Possibly. That would
Because
have
she
been a
had like
good move.
70 fucking kids because they breeded the shit out of her.
Well, we know that Sanderson has a very weird time writing relationships.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Let's get into one of those that I found very weird in this book.
Oh boy, which one?
Let's talk about Breeze.
Yeah, Breeze and what's her name? Deidre,
Yeah.
Bellamere.
Yeah. So Breeze. I love Breeze as a character, but there was like a 15-minute monologue. Actually, it was 30 minutes of Breeze talking to Sazed about religion, which was miserable to listen to. And then 15 minutes of her arriving to meet with Breeze and Sazed. And Sazed's just having an internal monologue about like, man, they're not married. Back in the old days, they would have had to get married because she's so young. And he probably feels weird about marrying her because she's so young and he's so old. I'm like, oh, why? Why is it the thing that we have to do, Sanderson? Like, why has this been a reoccurring theme of love? Is that like there's an older dude and a younger woman all the time, both in your antagonists and in your protagonists. And it talks a lot about how young she is and how old he is. And I'm like, why are we focusing on this?
Yeah,
Why is just make her older? You didn't have to do just make her older.
yeah,
Make Breeze younger. There would have been no problem if Breeze
yeah.
was younger.
It's weird.
It I don't want to I don't want to like make what's the word I'm looking for? Assumptions, but like Sanderson,
It's weird, bro.
it's weird. It's not okay. It's not okay. And we saw like obviously Venture's an antagonist, but the way that he talked was incredibly cringy about relationships with younger women. Breeze is a
Yeah. Someone like argued with
protagonist.
me on like Reddit that it's like the point of his character was to be so vile, but like is that really like a line we have to cross to be like someone I don't like? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
the Lord Ruler was a character that it never talked about his sexual preferences, not once. Came off
No.
as a very
Although
vile
every woman's
person.
probably too young for him.
It's true. And then like you also got in the second book like that very weird lines about Kelsier and Vin like
Yeah.
potentially having a thing. And I'm like, why are we kind of like making a relationship out of two characters where one's been dead and that relationship wasn't something that was focused on? It just kind of seems like we're awkwardly shining a weird light on relationships with large age gaps,
Yeah. I agree. It is weird.
particularly with younger women, actually exclusively with younger women.
Yeah.
And it,
Either way, it's weird, but yeah. Have you gotten to much of Spook yet?
no, I haven't gotten a lost book. I
Dude,
know where he's at.
Spook annoys the fuck out of me in this book too. Like him and Sazed are like my least two favorite storylines, and there's a good portion of them together. So it's a long trip there.
Oh no.
And like Tin Soon story,
Yep.
I was super interested in. Expect disappointment because it just is like, oh, that's it. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
too
So let's talk
cool.
about Tensoon's story real quick. He finds himself in a situation where like um he is in jail for breaking the contract when he basically betrayed Zane for Vin. And now he has to go to like court for to Cadre court.
Yeah,
And the Cadre Society is a really interesting one where they have like a hidden civilization and all of them wear like exotic bones. It's kind of funny. And then like they're all like there's one guy that talks is like, yeah, he's just a block. I mean, it's like a weird style thing, and it's supposed to like represent rebellion or whatever. But the way their society is split is based off of like generations.
Mhm.
So Tensoon is a third generation, and the court's the second generation, and then like the first generation are these hidden secret
Have you
cadre.
gotten through the trial yet?
I just finished the point where Tensoon basically made the argument that he did not break the contract because since Ven killed the Lord Ruler, the first contract is now associated to Ven.
Did you also think that like the first just are actually dead and like the seconds are just pretending
It
that
would
there's a
make a
higher
lot of
rule?
sense.
Because that was my thought process. I was like, why are the seconds like acting like there's something else there? Because they aren't. They're like, oh, the first have not spoken. You must die now. And it's like,
Yeah.
do they are they even real?
hmm I honestly, every time it kept talking about generations of Cadre, I had a really hard time not wondering in my mind how Cadre fuck. Like, do they
These
fucking
two
gelatin
blobs just
form?
keep going at it, and then another blob pops out.
Do you think they fucking in blob form, or do you think they become humans? Like, how does that work? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to
Only
know.
blobs.
I
You have
need
to have the
somebody.
bones to become a chondra, or to become the thing from the bones. They're just blobs.
Yeah. That's a great Cadre pickup line. I'll give you a bone. I want somebody to write some fan fiction so I can
you know it's there.
and you know Sanderson will approve it based off as
He
long
might
as
have
one
written
of
it.
them is younger. It has to be a first generation with a 10th generation exclusively.
Jesus. We live for a very, very long time.
hmm just that's what I was thinking. How does it work? And like also the Kolos, Vin like makes a point where it's like I'm pretty sure all these Kolos are just dudes.
Yep.
And she also is thinking, she's thinking the same thing I am. Like, how the fuck? Where did Kolos come from?
She does
I'm
do that.
I'm completely on board with Vin's. I feel like I'm actually relating more to Vin in this book than any other book. She has become a non-annoying character to me to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, Vin's like the only one that I think makes any like rational decisions. And it's not literally just be like, well, this seems weird, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
she's
weird.
also like, how do these guys fuck? I'm like, I agree, man. That's just something I'm curious about. Yeah, so the Cadre piece, I I don't know how I feel about it. I like Tensoon. I like the Cadre Society. They're talking about the magical creatures, which is interesting. It's world building, it's story building. But the argument that Tensoon is making, I just find very strange. Like the whole contract thing seems like a very flimsy thing to build a society off of.
Yeah.
And now he's like, well, since she killed him, she's mother. I'm like, first off, super cringy. Second off, like, I guess that's how that works. Like, how you guys didn't build a line of secession. Like, how does that
Yeah, the
operate?
the Condor stuff will make sense later on, but it's also whatever. It's
Okay.
like, all right, that's cool, but then like how their storyline ends, you're just like, all right, I guess.
Okay. I'm interested.
It's like that was a lot of like world building and like stuff for not a good payoff.
Yeah. And then you have the Kolos, who's like the opposite of the Kadra. And the Kolos really want to be human or think that they're human. Maybe they are human. I don't know.
They kind of are.
Yeah. So they're like, I'm human. And then they murder like their buddy.
Yep.
It's, so I don't know where that's gonna go. I can
Yeah.
imagine that the
I
story's
get
gonna
it to explain
end.
actually really soon to you.
Okay. I would imagine that like the Kolos, it's kind of like a Cinderella thing where at the end they get to become human, like how, the
No,
pumpkin turns into a
there's
carriage.
actually no ending story for the Colos.
No way.
I honestly don't even know where that ends up.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm pumped.
Uh,
That's
Yeah,
a
because
good
the last
point.
thing I see of them, they're just mad and confused.
Do you ever get to like hear about how they fuck?
You find out how they're made, yeah.
Mm, that's the important part. You don't get that answer from the cadre though, do you?
Nope.
Damn. Come on, Sanderson.
Well, no, not really. Not of the fucking. Just how they were
Generations.
made.
Hmm. Well, that's that story. You also have a story with Marsh, which is an interesting-ish story, I suppose.
It's kind of annoying, honestly.
I can see like the concept of the story is good, but you basically every once in a while get like a two-page chapter that's saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, like Marsh on his own, like this his whole storyline, just like kind of don't get why. Like he's like maybe like one moment and you're like, okay, I don't think that was worth it. I think that could have been literally any fucking what are they called? Steel Inquisitor
Yeah,
that
it could be
could have,
anyone.
yeah, that's being controlled would make the same decision if they could.
Essentially, Marsh is this character who was on the non-Lord Ruler side, became an Inquisitor,
Yep.
and you come to find
Scott's
out that,
brother.
yeah, you come to find out that Ruin literally can like physically controls the Inquisitors, just
Mhm.
not their minds. And so Marsh is like being forced to do all of these terrible things for Ruin, and he has a massive desire to essentially kill himself, but he can't because Ruin won't let him. And that's Marsh's storyline.
Very much.
And it's a front like obviously it's a interesting storyline because you feel the frustration of the character. But you just get like random chapters of Marsh complaining about how he wants to die
Yep.
over and over again. I'm like,
Like, well,
okay,
you can't read my mind. One day I'll make my move, but it ain't today.
exactly.
I'm gonna
So
scare the shit out of him one day. Just you wait.
you also come to find out that like the Inquisitors are killing Fearomancers or the Terracemen. So let's chat about that for a second. Fundamentally, this confuses me. The Lord Ruler, there's a couple things about the story that confuse me. The Lord Ruler, it seems to suggest pretty heavily, at least where I'm at, that the Lord Ruler planned and is a enemy of Ruin, or was an enemy of Ruin. He did not like Ruin. He wanted to try and prevent Ruin from conquering the world. But he still used Steel Inquisitors,
Hmm.
which can be controlled by Ruin.
So he didn't know that. So
Interesting.
how ruin works is if you are impaled by metal, he can talk to you.
Oh,
So like
weird rule,
for a
but okay.
1,000 years, he was just like whispering shit into what's at the ruler's ears. It's kind of like with Zane, right? Like Zane had the spike, so he was talking to Zane.
Oh, so the Lord Ruler was like communicating with Ruin.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, that I guess that kind of makes sense. Kind of a weird rule.
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, you're a god, but like your one limitation is you can't talk to people unless they have metal impaled in them.
Well, what's even more
Luckily for
confusing
you,
is it talks about later, like, he can't actually see metal. So the fact that he can talk through metal makes even less sense.
I love this
Like metal's
idea.
just like super fucking bright to him, but he can talk to it. I don't know how that works.
Oh, so like okay, so like the idea is like he can't change what's written in metal because he can't see the
It's too
metal.
fucking bright, yeah.
It's too bright. It's so bright. Man, that dude would be absolutely fucked, like in any modern civilization.
Fuck, I
Oh
can't see
God, I
shit.
can't see anything in here.
Why
I
is
mean, I
everything
can
so fucking bright? Well, that makes me even more confused because Era 2 is like Western steampunk. I imagine there's a bunch of fucking
I can't
metal.
fucking see anything.
Why everything's so fucking bright? Where's the damn sunglasses?
So like the the other thing that's confusing to me, and maybe this is like, I guess that kind of makes sense because maybe Ruin was like manipulating the Lord Ruler
Yeah.
and to some degree, and that's why the Lord Ruler was systematically trying to kill Fearomancers.
Yeah, possibly.
That's definitely a part that like I don't understand is like there seems to be some things that Ruin is doing that the Lord Ruler also did, but the Lord Ruler was like an enemy of Ruin. And it's going to be really weird when it's like actually the Lord Ruler, who the fucking knows because Ruin could have been manipulating him the whole time.
Yeah, there's like one of the caches that talks like Lord Orilla talks about like how for like 1,000 years, like this motherfucker just shut the fuck up.
He keeps telling me to take off parts of my metal so he can fucking see.
You keeps telling me to put things in my ass, and it's weird. Where's that spike supposed to go? Oh, you know where.
This is like Ruin's big thing. How can I best serve you, Lord? Hmm. Well, you know how you just put earrings in your ears.
I could hear you there. With each new metal, like gets a new feeling.
How does this Master Elin, how does this god like being work? Well, he basically shoves a spike up your ass and then controls you like a puppet. Oh God. So I mean I mean
Why go for the spine when we can go up the ass?
sir, it seems like we might be pretty safe against this deity again. We just don't shove spikes up our ass. Over 50% of the population shoves spikes up their ass daily.
You want to change tradition?
It's like a big deal, okay?
You are talking generations of culture just gone if we do that. People will be in an uproar.
He I can just imagine Ruin's like able to manipulate all this like text and this religious text and he just says it like flipping through all these religions. He's like, for some reason, like 90% of the religious text that I come across talks about how you should shove spikes up your ass.
They
I
aren't even
don't get
picky.
it.
It's just as long as they shove a metal bar up there, they're great.
They're good. It's fine.
They start talking to God. It's so weird.
Every religion, thousands of years apart, people who've never communicated with each other. The one thing that's consistent is the spike up your ass dogma. It's crazy. I'm into it.
And says it became a believer that night. Tendril who?
I mean, just oh, geez, that's great. That's where I store my copper mind.
No one could ever peel this one off me.
That's, that's where I put my pewter. Let me burn it real quick and just become that. But if you think about it, if you really think about it, all that we're saying makes so much fucking sense though. Like it really does. Because like if you're a ferromancer and you want to store metal in a place someone can't steal it,
Yes, that's a good place
it's
to put
actually
it.
a pretty good place. And if you're a
He's also
person,
a eunuch, so what's there?
if
There's
you're
got
a
to be a hole of
person,
some kind because he pees.
well, he has an asshole.
Well, yes, I don't know about you, but I don't want to piss out my asshole.
Well, I understand that. I don't know what's there. I don't know what's on the other
There's got
side.
to be something for him to pee out of, so there's got to be something.
All I'm saying is there's a place for the spike,
Well, I'm
and
just saying
that's
that
the
he could have
ass.
used two spikes.
Double spike.
The front one might be speed or something. I don't know.
I mean, women ferromancers are way more powerful.
The places that Tendril were using.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
gosh. Just think about it, right? Like if you were a god who could only communicate and control people who had metal in their body, piercings and dildos would be the way to go. You'd basically be Slanesh. You would
Yeah.
convince everybody that butt plugs are a religious artifact.
Wait a minute. I think we just became founders or something.
Oh my gosh, it comes full circle. It's
It
really
does.
all about the
We
butt
created
plugs.
a religion a long time ago, too.
Conceptually, Ruin's best bet is to create a cult of Slanesh where everyone wears butt plugs and he controls the society.
That makes sense. It's easy.
Just just keep seeing a bunch of ritualistic drawings of butt plug insertions.
Trust me, people will get it eventually.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't
man.
die. I live for millions of years. So I'll just keep making drawings.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of religions they decorate it differently. It's kind of how it is.
I mean, he can only not control like metal, right? So like the glass panes that have like pictures. It's it's just like a person sitting on the butt plug as you
Makes
walk
sense
into
to
the
me.
church. Whoop.
There it is. Wow.
Man, everywhere I look, there's a butt plug.
This is a
Bruin's
lot
like,
of
yes, yes, you know
subliminal
what to
messaging.
do.
I feel like I'm being subliminal messaged by
Every advertisement does a butt plug.
everyone. So yeah, I think really if Sanderson were to go back to the drawing board, would come to the same conclusions as us.
Yeah, how do we get Sanderson on here? Because we got things we need to talk about. It's very important.
So so can Bruin communicate with people who just wear earrings?
I will not confirm nor deny.
Okay. I can imagine like the thing that's weird about that is like Terracemen wear earrings all the time.
Hmm.
And you think like one of them would be like, dude, this fucking guy keeps talking
Maybe,
to me.
maybe he doesn't like Terracemen. Maybe he's racist.
And then the other one was like, yeah, I hear the same shit. Something's up.
Yeah.
And like, there's definitely noblemen that have wore earrings before
Hmm.
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, they always talk about how the Lord Ruler was always decked out in metals.
Yeah. So that's where everybody is. I'm most interested, I think, in the trying to understand what happened with the Lord Ruler, how he was manipulated, and how to defeat this ruin thing, and whether or not they get the positioning of the Earth and the Sun right on the second go around.
Yeah, you haven't seen much of Spook, but Spook's a lot bigger of a character in this one.
Okay.
He was sent to Orto to
Hmm.
gather information, and he tries to do his best. Kelsier impression is the best way to describe his storyline.
Spook's definitely the character that is very jealous that he doesn't have power.
Yeah, which makes me even more confused with how like the second era works. It's gonna be weird. But like Spook's
Okay.
storyline, I don't enjoy. Everything's really predictable in my opinion. I think
Hmm.
like it's supposed to like not be, but there's no way you read it and you think differently, I don't think.
Hmm.
The only thing I was off about was a girl, and it was just I don't even want to say it. I'll tell you when we get when you get there.
Was it a young girl?
I do not know the age difference.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So far it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm interested to be a little shocked if it happens.
there's no shock.
Okay.
The only shock is that I finished the book before you.
That's not a shock at all.
It should be because it's tough. Honestly, I might start reading fucking Dark Age because we're gonna go back to Red Rising. I already read Iron Gold, so I might just start Dark Age.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You're gonna be like so far ahead. You should just take like a month break. Read
We'll see.
other books, you monster.
Well, I'm about to start Malazan.
Yeah, just get really into that. And then when we want to do Malazan, you can be like, ah, I'm 6 books ahead.
Well, I only plan on reading the first book. All right.
Okay.
We'll see where book club goes from there. But anyway, guys, speaking of book club, hit us up on Discord. Join the book club. It's a great time. Find that pin to our Twitter at Harris Lodge. Email us at harrislodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at Harris Lodge. Buy merch for your significant other. It's fucking Valentine's Day next month. Do not be caught with nothing. All right? That's always fucking embarrassing every goddamn time.
Hmm.
They want Harris Lodge merch. I know it. If they don't, tell them to text me.
I know it because my wife wants some.
See?
Not really, but it's good marketing.
We'll edit that bit out. All right, guys. As always, have a good one. We'll see you next week for more Hero of Ages. Have a good one.